Deep underground military bases. D.U.M.B s. D.U.M.B.s. This is where the 1% cowards elites, the military, the Freemasons, Illuminati, are going to hide out during the zombie apocalypse of the Mark of the Beast and during the Judgement, God's wrath. They're going to try to hide from God, as Scripture says, but you cannot hide from God, you fools. You will face your judgment.
Started building since the 1940s large underground bases with every commodity you can think of. These bases are basically large cities underground, connected by high-speed magneto-leviton trains that have speeds up to Mach 2. According to Phil Schneider, the black budget is a secret budget that garners 25% of the gross national product of the United States. The black budget currently consumes trillions of dollars per year. Presently, there are over 129 deep underground military bases, or D.U.M.Bs, in the United States. These underground bases were built using nuclear-powered laser drills that can drill 7 miles per day. Also, dedicated nuclear explosions were held to create large underground spaces. A lot of contractors work in these...
Swipe on this video.
Normally heated. The strength of this facility is that it was engineered to withstand a nuclear blast. Most of the people have a belief that there's going to be some type of a global economic collapse. Some are worried about a possible nuclear war. Now, this is the dome. Then you have the mechanical level, medical security level, store level with hydroponics and aquaculture. Then the residential levels are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then there's the library and classroom, the exercise and spa level, theater and lounge, and then the pumps and storage. We look in here, this is the beach. Wow.
This is what cowards do, they hide out.
This is a fun room. Come on in, I'll show you around. The air temperature is all controlled by a computer. It's kept at about 82 degrees. So that's, feel it. And it's all geothermally.
D.U.M.B is an acronym for Deep Underground Military Bases. According to eyewitnesses, they're about the size of a medium-sized city, anywhere from 10 miles to 30 miles across, with an average depth of 4.25 miles. In America alone, there's at least 140 of them. Most of the tunneling activity is under military installations. These underground cities have reportedly been under construction day and night since the 1940s. Worldwide, there's about 1,500 of them. The Northrop facility in Antelope Valley, California, is rumored to be 42 levels deep. Ex-employees and whistleblowers describe what sounds like the underground setting for a science fiction movie. Tunnel machines that dig a mile of tunnel big enough for a 2-lane highway in a matter of minutes. High-speed magnetic levitation trains traveling between underground cities at fantastic speeds of up to 1,500 miles per hour. Richard Sauder, who wrote a book called Underground Bases and Tunnels, What is the Government Trying to Hide? Sauder has an architectural PhD, and he's worked for a number of government agencies. His book describes a nuclear power laser drill called the Subterrane, capable of drilling an underground tunnel 7 miles long in a single day. It literally melts the rock away that's in its path and leaves behind a smooth, glazed, glass-like surface around the edges of the tunnels. Another credible witness is a retired U.S. Air Force Colonel, L. Fletcher Prouty. He wrote a book in 1973 called The Secret Team, explaining how underground cities are hidden from public view. From 1955 to 1963, Prouty was the liaison between the CIA and the Department of Defense for military support of special operations. The Secret Team, which he names after his book, is a powerful, brutally violent international team that overthrows and influences governments all over the globe. At the core of the Secret Team are members of the CIA, the National Security Council, military and civilian officials, as well as academics, business, and even media people. Each underground city is said to employ 10,000 to 18,000 workers and cost between $17 and $26 billion to build. Where does all that money come from? It comes comes from a concealed black budget that garners 25% of the gross U.S. national product, and it currently consumes $1.25 trillion per year. Ever wonder what happened to the trillions in so-called losses after the bankster crooks fleeced the world's major financial institutions, then got rewarded with taxpayer bailouts? Ever wonder what happens to the billions that they pocket from Afghanistan's opium trade and from the legal and illegal drug money? In Tim Weiner's book, The Blank Check, The Pentagon's Black Budget, he writes, there are two governments in the United States today. One is visible, the other is invisible. The first is the government that citizens read about in their local newspapers, and the second is highly secretive, interlocking agencies that carry out hidden agendas. Philip Schneider, an ex-government structural engineer, was involved in building deep underground military bases around the United States. For the last 2 years of his life, he gave public lectures about government cover-ups, black budgets, UFOs, and aliens. On January 17, 1996, Schneider was found dead in his apartment with piano wire wrapped around his neck. Some say he was tortured and murdered in a military-style execution. James Casbolt is another whistleblower. Casbolt was a former MI6 agent who worked in Black Ops in London between 1995 and 1999. He has connections to ex-intelligence people who worked in underground bases and on ET-related projects. There are vast numbers of children and adults disappearing around the world and ending up in these underground bases, says Casbolt. Why in hell are governments building a global underground network of cities with interconnecting tunnels? Why has Norway built a highly fortified and heavily guarded underground seed repository? Are they expecting a global disaster, an apocalypse, an engineered biological or nuclear war, or some other catastrophic depopulating event? Whistleblower George Green believes an imminent nuclear war is being orchestrated by the global elite to reduce the world's population to 500 million. He believes that underground cities are a retreat. If you confront government agencies about any of this, they won't try to deny the existence of underground facilities. They just wave it off as storage and defense.
TV.
I'll tell you why.
D.U.M.B.
The cowards that they call themselves presidents send the military off. They don't care that they're without their family and loved ones, and they use them as pawns on the front line. And that's why everything is secret in the military, because it's not to be known to America. So they go and create wars, and they provoke other countries to fight back by gaining oil sources and whatever else that they choose to take from that country. So they're creating all these wars, and now when the war is going to come back against them, they're going to hide out underground in these underground cities like cowards that they are. So they're instigators. They instigate the war, and then they hide away from it and make us deal with it. Welcome to America. The illusion that America is a dream. It's a dream because you're asleep and believing the illusion that is presented before you as freedom, as security.
Drill it out, melt it, and it molded on the sides of these tunnels. And they're talking that they've got machines that can go 7 to 12 miles a day underground, completely building a 40-foot diameter tunnel with no debris. Because that would be the thing that you'd look at. If you're going through the ground like that and you're digging these vast tunnels all over the place, you'd have piles of dirt and debris somewhere to deal with it. It would show up somewhere. And it doesn't, because that's apparently how these machines work, is they make these holes through these tunnels through the ground, and when you're done, you've got this perfectly glass-lined, tunnel. And then the technology, the machines that run through them, they're talking about trains that run at Mach 2 going through these tunnels. Transportation that you could go from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco.
They give themselves the luxury with our money, and they give us the scraps that are left over. We have roads with potholes and everything, and they have underground cities. Ridiculous.
This monster machine dwells in a world beneath our feet. It eats rock for a living, with steely teeth that can chew through nearly any surface on Earth. Its job? Carve out passageways beneath cities, rivers, and even oceans. It's a tunnel boring machine. The tunnel boring machine carves subterranean pathways. The biggest of these technological termites stretches 150 feet long, 40 feet high, and weighs over 3,000 tons. This borer is only one part of a multi-unit device that, when fully coupled, looks like an underground train that stretches hundreds of feet. Turn this fella loose, and it can rip through 100 feet of rock in a day.
You're looking at something equivalent to maybe 6 or 8 railroad locomotives grouped together and then extending back for a couple of city blocks.
This
Last 2 months, the U.S. State Department has organized one of the largest and most complex international evacuation operations in American history. Mike Pompeo has been working round the clock, along with Ambassador O'Brien. Since January 29th, we have successfully repatriated over 25,000 Americans from more than 50 countries where they were literally stuck, in some cases locked in. You probably read about the young people in Peru and young people in Brazil, and they were absolutely stuck, and we got them out. Got them. Almost everybody is out now, back home with their parents, their wives, their husbands. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks, and then hopefully
Disgusting for these workers to keep such a secret.
Phil Schneider, a government geologist and engineer with over 17 years of experience working on black projects, is undoubtedly one of the most important whistleblowers in modern history. In September 1995, Mr. Schneider gave a presentation at the Preparedness Expo in which he exposed the New World Order agenda and how it connects with extraterrestrials. During this speech, he presented physical evidence of alien metals and artifacts along with additional photographs to validate his claims. Less than 6 months after giving this presentation, he was found dead in his apartment with a piano wire wrapped around his neck in what most would classify a military-style execution. According to some close to the investigation,
Mr. Schneider had been repeatedly and brutally tortured before being killed. Regardless, the authorities somehow ruled his death a suicide. It's best you know some basic facts before going into the scope of what is happening right under our feet. Phil Schneider.
He exposes the government and then kills himself. Seriously, if you believe that, the government must love you. It's called murder. It's called CIA, FBI, crooked elites. All the government is sick and twisted, and they are the ones that murder and get away with it because they are the law. They make the law. They control the law. And most, if not all, are Satan worshippers.
The depth of each base is roughly a mile deep. They are basic whole cities hollowed out underground. They are somewhere between 2 and 2/3 cubic miles and 4 1/4 cubic miles hollowed out underground. You might ask how this is done. Well, right now they have laser drilling machines that can drill a tunnel 7 miles in one day. Obviously, leave the public there. I've been misinformed. The black projects, as we know them, sidestep Congress, which is illegal. Right now, the New World Order is depending upon these bases, and if I'd known it was the New World Order involved, I wouldn't have had anything to do with them. I was lied to rather extensively. Depth of
is the Survival Condo Project, a 15-story luxury apartment complex built in a Kansas former nuclear missile silo. And for $3 million, you could have had a full-floor private apartment. It was designed years ago by the Army Corps of Engineers, not as a residence, but after taking into consideration the height above sea level, seismology, and proximity to population centers. I say could have had because they're sold out. Larry, what amenities in that bunker?
Well, it's like a miniature cruise ship, Michael. It has everything from a rock climbing wall and a game arcade for the kids to continuing education classrooms, a library, a movie theater, a bar and lounge. It's got everything that you need to spread out and maintain some semblance of normal when things outside are anything but normal.
How nice of them to have their fun underground while they poison our air, poison our water, poison our food, kidnap children. Sick, disgusting people. Their underground base is going to be their tomb.
About the end of the world, we stand on the brink of Armageddon, diseases for which we have no cure. Fundamentalist states who call for our destruction, nuclear powers over which we have no control. And even if we navigate these dangerous waters, we face other, even more inevitable threats. Global warming will melt the polarized gaps within 80 years, flooding 90% of all habitable areas on Earth. Unchecked population growth will overtake food production in less than 50 years, leading to famine. And war, this is not conjecture, this is a fact. One way or another, our world is coming to an end. And the question is, will we end with it?
What do you propose?
I propose that we end the world, but on our terms. An orchestrated apocalypse, one that will cleanse the Earth of its population but leave its infrastructure and resources intact. It's been done once before, with great success. The chosen few will ride out the storm, not in an ark as in the book of Genesis, but in safety, underground.
시민들의 불안심리를 잠재우기는 쉽지 않아 보입니다. 모든 병원에서 유산자로 접수됩니다.
We're here to talk about
I read the script, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart were already attached, and I was like, these characters are jumping off the page. And my role, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the most popular girl in high school. For some reason, I know how to play that. And then it was such a hit. It was way bigger than I even anticipated. And now, I think we're going to make part 2. I think you have to. I think you, have to. They kill you if you try to walk away. And they clone you.
They kill you and they clone you. Because they don't need you alive to clone you. All they need is your DNA. Yes, cloning centers are real. Wake up.
Me and Norm are here to drive these remotely controlled bodies called avatars. And they're grown from human DNA mixed with the DNA of the natives.
Hey, well,
Damn, they got big.
yeah, they fully mature on the flight out. So the proprioceptive sims seem to work really well.
Yeah, they've got great muscle tone. It'll take us a few hours to get them decanted, but you have to take them out tomorrow. The concept is that every driver is matched to his own avatar, so that their nervous systems are in tune, or something.
Head down. Yeah. Just relax and let your mind go blank. It shouldn't be hard for you.
It's the darkest part of my little life.
Phase lock 99%, link is stable. Normal. How you feeling, Jake?
Hey, guys. Welcome to your new body, Jake.
Good.
I'm gonna take this nice and easy, Jake. And touch your thumb to your finger?
Yeah.
Thumb to your fingers.
No problem.
That's good. I can see you can remember that one.
Got it.
Well, if you want to sit up, that's fine.
Okay, good. Just take it nice and slow, Jake. Good. Okay, well, no truncal ataxia. That's good.
Are you feeling lightheaded or dizzy at all? Are you wiggling your toes?
Good, Jake. Just a motor control is good.
They just cloned him.
Stable.
And there you have it. It's very real. Just like the movie Selfless, they do the same thing with Ryan Reynolds and that old man.
These fallen entities have given the shadow government incredible technology, advancements in the manipulation of the human genome, technology that is used on humans to extract tissue or manipulate the unborn fetus. The Luciferians have worked tirelessly to create a way for them to extend their lifespan artificially through the genetic manipulation of both animal and human DNA, and have been geoengineering their habitats here on Earth. That, at the same time, causes the cancers that we consume in our foods and water, hoping to eventually phase out the organic human.
Although this is true, Alex Jones with InfoWars is controlled opposition. But these fallen angels, that's what aliens are. They are fallen angels. They fell with Lucifer from heaven. They were casted out with him because they wanted to worship him above God. So God casted Lucifer, the most beautiful angel. I hate to say that. I want to vomit at saying that. And all those that wanted to follow him with him, and casted him down to the earth. And these are the fallen angels, the aliens that they condition us to love and accept and see as normal and good, like E.T. and X-Files, and the list goes on. Don't be deceived.
The deep underground military bases that can be found all over the earth play a very important part in their soon-to-come grand deception.
Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site it used to be, it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague, Al Bielik, has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train.
Looks like we found the airport with the World War III stuff. Looks like we found it.
Now you can go to whitehouse.gov/ presidential actions / executive order combating human trafficking online child exploitation United States / and it will bring you here, and you can read about human sex trafficking. It's no coincidence that Liam Neeson made 2 movies, I believe it was 2, maybe it was part 3. Taken part 1 and 2 was about sex trafficking, and then sold off to billionaires who have money and wicked hearts and don't know what to do with it, and they're bored with their lives, and they buy, they sell these people off as sex slaves for these rich millionaires. It's disgusting. It's like auctioning off people instead of cars. But you can pause this and read through for yourself if you're interested.